You had one job, M. Night Shyamalan. You had one job. What's really good, guys? It's your boy Rashad back again with another video. And today we're going to be talking about Glass. This is going to be a spoiler talk. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, I suggest you go see it because I'm going to be going very, very deep into spoilers today. But if you're still with me, let's get straight into it. So Glass is the third installment of M. Night Shyamalan's superhero trilogy. Unbreakable was first, then there was Split, both very, very good movies. So everyone was hyped for this. Everyone was hyped. At the end of Split, when there was a big reveal that this was tied to Unbreakable and they were happening in the same universe, it made that movie amazing for me. Like, that movie was great. And that, to me, was one of M. Night's best twists. Don't get me wrong. I love this movie. I actually really, really love this movie. I'm just upset because I could have loved this movie more. I could have loved it more. Now I have to look at it as a whole, as a trilogy, not just a standalone movie, which is disappointing. So let me get into why exactly this movie disappointed me. Fuck it. I'm going to start off with what I did not like about this movie. And it was literally that third act. I've seen so many people speak about it and it's unanimous. If that third act was much better, or if he had just stopped the landing, this movie would have been one for the ages, because that third act was messy as fuck. Now, that's not to say that I didn't enjoy parts of the third act. There was pieces of it that did stick together well and were well acted, but it just could have been so much better, is what I'm trying to say. So the things that I didn't like about the third act are, one, this whole shadow organization that's been there from however long, that have been monitoring people with superhuman abilities. I could have done without that. I could have completely done. If that movie didn't have this organization in, it would have been much better. I feel like it was just a push and a twist too far. Yet again, M. Night Shyamalan flew too close to the sun and got burnt. And now he's got me using Icarus metaphors in my reviews. So fuck you, man. Fuck you. Now, one other reason that I didn't like the whole aspect of the shadow organization, not just because it was unnecessary, not just because it was really, really left field and cheesy and didn't really make sense, but also because it shat on the whole idea that these guys may actually have just been unwell. They may actually just have needed therapy. Like, they may have had actual mental disorders that were making them act like this way, which throughout the second act, which I know a lot of people didn't like, but I was fine with, they put little breadcrumbs here and there, even with the fact that Kevin Wendell Crumb's dad was reading a pamphlet about DID. The fact that David Dunn didn't really have super strength. Like, I know he was strong. He could bend metal and steel and he bust through the door. But if you see when he broke out of the prison, he was holding his arm. Now, you know that David Dunn cannot get hurt. He survived a train crash, but yet he was holding his arm when he bust through the door. So that tells me one of two things. Either he doesn't really have these powers and they are just in his head, and the reality of the situation was stronger than the delusion that he had built up, or it was just a movie mistake and Bruce Willis is getting too old to do those kind of stunts and he actually hurt himself, because there was no reason for him to be holding his arm at that point. There were so many little things sprinkled throughout that try to subvert your expectations and make you believe that these people were actually unwell and didn't have abilities. Even to the fact that Kevin was obsessed with rock climbing. Like, it was a whole mind over body thing. Like, if you really believe something enough, your body will react to it. But especially with Kevin, you can see that his mind played a key role in his abilities and his multiple personalities. Another thing I didn't like about the third act was Mr. Glass. He became very, very comic book villain in the third act. He started doing one-liners. He started saying cheesy lines about the fate of characters and stuff like that. And it's just like, what the fuck? Even when he started smiling, you see his teeth and they're all rotten and shit. It was like a completely different character. He actually seemed insane at that point. And it was just like, I understand if you're trying to make him seem put together at first and then show how insane he really is. But it just seemed very, very B-grade and very, very cheesy. There was also too many twists in the third act. Too many. There were too many times when I thought that they were going to go to the Osaka Tower and they would have to go through the basement, or that Kevin was going to fight David Dunn and then he decided to change his mind and leave at the last minute and then was told to stop by Casey. And it was just like, why do so many things happen to keep them there? And I understand at the end of, obviously that was the point of it, but it just, while watching it, it was very jerky. It was like, can we do something? Can we have a focused direction? Because it seems like you've just chopped it up and edited it really weird, and I don't know, it just didn't sit right with me. The main thing, the one reason why this movie annoyed the hell out of me, and the main reason I hated the third act, is because David Dunn, a character we haven't seen in nearly 20 years, 2 decades, was murdered by an unnamed SWAT officer who decided to drown him in a puddle. Like, this was a main character who was literally, it was almost like he was Boba Fetted. He was Boba Fetted. He was Boba Fetted. I don't know. I at that time when he was getting drowned, I thought he was going to realize that his powers, one, weren't real and that water didn't really affect him, or he was going to be even stronger than he was before and kick some ass. Throughout the whole entire movie, David Dunn didn't do a thing. He had one scene at the beginning where he saved the girls by using a fucking crowbar to break the chains of the victims, and other than that, the fight scenes were terrible. Terrible fight scenes. The Beast was doing well. You could tell he's ferocious and he was savage and all that stuff. He did fine. David Dunn, it just seemed like he was always stationed. He couldn't really do anything. He had no fighting. He didn't use his powers in any unique ways. He literally was a tool used for the Beast to just be like, what the fuck are you? Like, are you as strong as me? Because the Beast would really have killed him. He really could have killed him himself. And the fact that he died anyway by a normal human being, like, it's almost as if it happened off screen. Like, it was so terrible. Like, you can't just one-shot one of your characters like that at the end of a movie. It doesn't make sense. Things that I did like about the third act, though, I did like the way that Kevin Wendell Crumb and Mr. Glass's arc finished. People think that it's a twist that Kevin Wendell Crumb's dad was on the same train as David Dunn, and that's how Mr. Glass managed to create both of them. But I already knew that. I knew that from Split, because there's a lot of, if you go and watch Split and Unbreakable again, there's a lot of foreshadowing and a lot of hints to the fact that he was on the same train. But the fact that the Beast was technically okay with it, he did thank him for having created him, but he still killed him anyway, that was a twist for me. And I was like, oh shit, like, it's not a whole, I'm going to kill you because you killed my father sort of thing. It was, I'm going to kill you because I don't really trust you to keep Kevin safe. Like, all of Kevin's personalities were there, or created or born to keep Kevin safe. Also, one thing I didn't like the movie, the fact that Kevin was a fucking coward. I believe that Kevin was a coward who could not actually deal with reality, and he wasn't someone that had been, that the light had been stolen from, and that had been asleep for all this time like we were meant to believe from Split. No, Kevin was someone that did not want the light. He did not want it. He allowed the Horde to run rampant because he could not deal with the reality of the situation. And that to me is a coward. Like, I understand if he's been traumatized, that I'm not taking any of that away from him. But the fact that he let people be murdered and stuff just because he could not deal with his everyday situation was terrible for me. And it did make me lose a lot of faith in Kevin, because in Split, I was rooting for him. So when Casey finally did get him to come out at the end, when he was shot and he was going through all his personality changes, I think that was an amazing scene. Even though I didn't really agree with him dying like that or that abruptly, I did like his death scene. Like, it was very emotional for me, just because I'm never going to see this character again. I feel like Kevin Wendell Crumb is one of the greatest characters imagined on the screen. Like, and props have to be given to James McAvoy because he killed it. I did also like Casey and Kevin's relationship. People didn't. They thought it might have been a bit weird, a bit abrupt, a bit out of the way. But I could see that she saw him as a kindred spirit. Even though the Beast did attack her and kill some people, he didn't really do anything. I feel like Casey was the one that understood Kevin the most. They've been through something very similar, and it made them connect in a way that other people can't connect. And I completely understood that. I feel like it came across well, and her being upset that he was shot and stuff like that, I felt like it was earned. It made sense for the universe. I felt like the fact that the Beast didn't want to attack her and stuff like that, it made sense. The Beast's motivations made more sense in this movie than they did in Split, because he was a champion for the broken. He wanted to avenge people that had been put through enormous amounts of suffering. And Mr. Glass was one of the most broken of them all, because he literally had 94 breaks. Like, his body was shattered beyond repair. People didn't understand him. People looked down on him. People hurt him. And the Beast admired that. So even their pairing was perfect to me. So I did feel like Casey was a little bit shoehorned in, but it did make a lot of sense for the movie, and I understood the motivations of both characters. Quickly, I also like the fact that Jade and Dennis both switched sides. Jade it was foreshadowed that she was going to switch sides in Split, because she was the only one that had diabetes, and no one believed her and believed that she needed to take insulin. And obviously the fact that no one believed that Kevin was who he was and he had these personalities that were that different, that they were complete beings themselves, it probably really grated on her. And the fact that the Beast wanted to bring all that into the light made sense for her to change her mind. Obviously there was killings involved and stuff like that, but she'd been told that she was not real for all of her life, and I understand why she would have wanted some payback. Dennis also had become weary of killing people and didn't see any point to it, as there was no revolution. The Beast was not out in the limelight. The broken people had not stood up and were fighting back. None of that had happened, as Patricia told him. So he was starting to feel a bit like, what the fuck is going on? I don't really want to do this anymore. And that made sense for his character too. So I'm proud of Dennis, man, and I'm really upset that I'm never going to see these characters again. But yeah, without dragging this on too long, I enjoyed the hell out of this movie overall. I enjoyed the performances from all the characters. I enjoyed the action sequences, even though the choreography was terrible. I enjoyed the way that they tried to subvert our expectations and make us believe that these people were actually crazy. But the whole twist at the end and the third act and the weirdness that happened in the third act that wasn't consistent with not just Glass, but with all three movies, that annoyed me a lot. And that this was more of a sequel to Split than to Unbreakable, because David Dunn was severely underutilized. I don't even think he spoke that much in the third act. And his fighting against the Beast was not epic at all. It was just, he should have died like that, because he could not hold his own for shit. So those are my thoughts on Glass. Even though I may have said so many negative things about it, I did enjoy it more than I disliked it, and I'm sad that this is the third installment and the final movie. I just wanted it to be a little bit better and a little bit more epic. So I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I love the performances, I love the characters, I love this whole universe, and as I said before, I am sad to see it go. This could have been one of M. Night Shyamalan's defining movies, and the third act made it fall short. Anyways, guys, let me know if I've missed anything. We can talk about it down in the comments below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Turn those post notifications on. Smash that like button. And as usual, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Taylor about the fucking flex.